I know this is called the Shin Japan Heroes universe, but I would hardly call some of these heroes, least of all Shin Godzilla. But none of it makes any sense anyways, so... Today, we're going to assemble this ridiculous thing and assemble a ridiculous drink to match. Like the figure set, we're gonna make 4 individual drinks and then combine them. For these drinks, you'll need a silver rum, a dark spiced rum, a coconut rum, lime juice, grenadine, a melon liqueur, black food coloring, purple food coloring, and silver luster dust. It also helps if your grenadine is chilled. Also, if you'd like a bit of a garnish, get some cherries and an orange. Start by adding some black food coloring to your dark spiced rum to make it even darker. Then add some purple food coloring to your silver rum. If you don't have any purple, just combine some red and blue. For Shin Godzilla, in a small glass with ice, combine an ounce of that black dark spiced rum with a ½ ounce of lime juice. Then sink in a ½ ounce of that grenadine. For Shin Evangelion, in a small glass with ice, combine 3/4 of an ounce of that melon liqueur with a ½ ounce of lime juice. Slowly pour an ounce and a half of that purple rum over the back of a spoon to layer that on top. For Shin Ultraman, in a small glass with ice, add some silver luster dust, an ounce of silver rum, and a ½ ounce of coconut rum, and swirl it all around. Finally, sink down a ½ ounce of grenadine. For Shin Kamen Rider, in a small glass with ice, add 2 ounces of coconut rum, and stir in a ¼ ounce of lime juice. Top it with a couple of cherries if you so choose. And now we can combine them. Pretty much just dump them all together into a pint glass. Like the figure, it's ridiculous, but also kind of better than it has any right to be. Garnish it with an orange slice shield if you so choose, and enjoy. Cheers! Retailing in Japan for around 23,000 yen, which was a little crazy as it is, these were marked all the way up to 345 bucks on the import sites if you go with some place like Big Bad Toy Store. I ordered mine in June of 2023 from Shop Black Market for around 213 bucks shipped, so either they're losing money on the deal or some places are really hiking things up. Either way, this thing is so silly and I love it, but also it's complicated. I don't know. The instructions, while lengthy, are pretty clear, and you don't even need to understand Japanese to figure out how it all works. For the most part. Once you have it all figured out the first time, it's pretty straightforward. Inside, you get your base figures of Godzilla, Ultraman, Unit 1, and Kamen Rider with Cyclone. There are also some accessories. Ultraman comes with an extra pair of hands, the Spacium beam, and a beam stand. Unit 1 comes with an extra pair of hands, the orange shield, and a shield stand. Kamen Rider comes with a tiny clear stand as well. Shin Godzilla looks hilarious. Of the hundreds upon hundreds of Shin Godzilla figures that have been thrown at us in under a decade, this is definitely one of them. It stands around 6.5 inches tall and 7 inches long. Some parts, like the hands and middle part of the dorsals, are a harder rubber, so those shouldn't snap off. The mouth can open and close. The arms can do some curls. And the legs have these nice ratchet joints at the knees and hips with some extra wiggle room out to the sides. It also has some ankle tilt action and the feet can rotate all the way around. To turn it from beast mode to body mode, pop off the back dorsal piece, fold both arms up, fold the head back, bring the neck forward, rotate out the shoulder parts, pop off both feet, fold up the tiny ball joint for the neck, pop off the tail, and unfold the 2 halves of the tail. Now, the instructions say to add the tail on now, but mine kept falling off throughout the transformation, so we'll come back to that later. Unit 1 is nowhere near as lanky and gangly as it appears in the anime, but it doesn't look bad to me. I also only have a couple of figures of it prior to this one, and I'm not as well versed with the anime, so there's that. It stands around 6 inches tall, so I guess it could fit in with the Movie Monster series. It has a pretty decent amount of articulation. The head is on a ball joint with full 360 rotation and a little bit of up and down. The horn is a softer rubber, so that shouldn't snap off. Full rotation at the shoulder with an extra hinge out. Full 360 at the biceps. Double jointed elbows. And ball jointed wrists. It comes with these small fists, but you can swap those out with the replacement open hands. There is some rotation at the waist due to the transformation, but not much. Ball joints in the hips that provide more of a front and back rather than any lateral movement. Kind of double jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles. There was also some rotation to all the other sticky outy bits too. For the shield, it comes with a specific post and base that it can plug onto. For transformation, you'll need to pop those fists back on. Pop off the shoulder pieces, and you may end up popping the arms off in the process. You can go ahead and plug those onto the shoulders of the main combiner body. Separate the upper and lower halves of the Unit 1 body, open up the back, fold up the peg, pop out the arm and fist, fold the arms back, rotate them around, and fit them inside the chest cavity, folding them all up. Close the back, and you can go ahead and plug that onto the left shoulder. There are some tiny pegs that fold out of the legs, so go ahead and fold those out, and then peg the legs together. Rotate these little green bits, and then rotate both feet up. Take that peg and plug it into the left thigh. Then plug in the left Shin Godzilla foot. Shin Ultraman looks weirder to me than Unit 1 did, and I think 99% of that is because of the legs. It's around 6 inches tall and features similar articulation to the Unit 1. Ball jointed head with a little bit more of a tilt to it than Unit 1. Full rotation at the shoulder with an extra hinge out. Full 360 at the biceps. Double jointed elbows, and ball jointed wrists. Like the Unit 1, it comes with these itty bitty fists, but you can swap those out with the replacement flat hands. The waist joint doesn't really work here at all due to how the pieces fit in. Ball joints in the hips that provide more lateral movement than the Unit 1. Double jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles. For the Spacium beam, it can fit right into the top of one of the posts. You can't change the height on it, but it's still pretty sweet in a translucent blue with a metallic sheen to it. For transformation, you'll need to pop those fists back on, separate the upper and lower halves of the body, open up the back, fold up the peg, pop out the arm and fist, fold the arms back, rotate them around, and fit them inside the chest cavity, folding them all up. Close the back, and you can go ahead and plug that into the right shoulder. Just like Unit 1, there are some tiny pegs that fold out of the legs, so fold those out and then peg the legs together. Rotate both feet up just like before. They might pop off, but thank goodness for ball joints, right? Take that peg and plug it into the right thigh, then plug in the right Shin Godzilla foot. I didn't anticipate that I'd like the Shin Kamen Rider and Cyclone the most, but I think it's the best of the four. Cyclone is only 2.5 inches long, and the rider himself is cast in that rubber, but is permanently attached to the handlebars. Both wheels also spin, which is a nice touch. And thank goodness for that little clear plastic stand, because this would not stay upright on its own. For the transformation, flip the rider up and split the back of the bike in half. Fold those all the way around, and then fold those sides back on itself. Take the front wheel and fold it back until it locks into place, then bring the rider down. Ignore the fact that he's straight up sitting on the wheel, and look at this big robot head. It's kinda hidden in there, but whatever. And here's where things get stupid beyond the fact that his head is literally a dude on a motorcycle. The head pops onto a little ball joint, but like barely. It doesn't stay on all that well. The ball joint can't go deep enough into the socket, so it just kinda sits there. It can't really move much since the motorcycle bits get in the way, which is pretty disappointing. Now take that Shin Godzilla tail and plug it into the back. You might lose the head in the process. I feel like no matter which one you put on first, it's probably gonna fall off while you're attaching the second. Take the crotch and pull it down, you heard me. It should reveal these green and red bits. You can also pull out the edges of the thighs a little bit for more added color, but like just a little bit. Take Shin Godzilla's back piece and pull out the hidden handle. You may need some small tool to help you. You can then plug the spacium beam into the end to make a sword, which is actually pretty cool, but it also makes an already rickety figure that much more unbalanced. Take the shield and pop off the front bit. Those panels open up, revealing this hole, and you can stick it around Shin Godzilla's head and it should pop into place. The other part of the shield can peg onto the left arm. Who needs balance when you have whatever is going on here? The combined form is around 10 inches tall and technically has all of those points of articulation mentioned earlier, just good luck posing it. I gotta say, this thing's kind of a mess. Parts and pieces popping off if you look at it sideways, and one of the least balanced transforming robots I've ever had the pleasure of playing with. It's a phenomenal display piece, but if you or your kids actually want to play with it, forget about it. Trying to get it to stay upright for this turntable footage was maddening. Normally I'm worried that something wouldn't survive a shelf dive, but this would survive, or rather the pieces that are definitely gonna pop off can easily be popped back on, but I can guarantee you, unless you lean this back against a corner or something, it will definitely take that shelf dive. I also normally dislike parts forming, but it's necessary here and it's so stupid already that I'll allow it. Also, ignore the scale. Scale is out the window, Shin Godzilla's a hero now, nothing matters. Initially, I was gonna say that this is a keep forever kind of a figure, but the more I played with it, the more I hoped that they'd come out with a die-cast version of the combined form in its own action figure and call it good. A+ for the idea though. It's truly bonkers, and I love bonkers, but it does leave something to be desired, especially for a $200-something toy. I think it's a clever thing, but I don't think it's worth the price tag. But I also understand that things cost what they cost, and you pay the price to get it or you don't. And I wanted to get it. And if you got this figure, I hope you didn't spend too much on it, and I hope yours stays together and has better balance than mine. If you're on the hunt for it, I want to wish you good luck getting it for a decent price, thank you for watching, and remind you to always drink responsibly.